Hi, and thanks for your interest in the University of Colorado's Medicine and Aerospace Engineering dual degree program. My name is Arian Anderson, and I am the Anschutz, the School of Medicine Program Director, and along with Dr. Allison Heyman and several other faculty members across both the University of Colorado School of Medicine and the SMEAD School of Aerospace Engineering Sciences, we have a robust and diverse set of faculty members that support our students in what we see as a critical piece of the future of human spaceflight. So, I'm going to talk about the details of the program, kind of give you some of the logistics and the why, the reason why we're doing this, and hopefully fill in some of the gaps, answer some of the questions that you might have, and direct you to next steps, which may include applying or reaching out to us with further questions. So, this is an MDMS, a 5-year dual degree program in medicine and aerospace engineering, and specifically the aerospace engineering master's degree is in bioastronautics. It involves 4 years of training at the University of Colorado School of Medicine, and that 4 years is then interrupted by a year at the University of Colorado in Boulder, where you earn your master's degree. And we'll talk about the curriculum structure. This is kind of the outline of the informational session, and hopefully we'll answer all of your questions and fill in the details. We're going to give you a little bit of background about why we started this program, what careers are available, why CU is uniquely fitted and suited to help train you towards your career goals, the specific details of the program and the requirements, and then how you can go about applying. This is NASA's roadmap, although admittedly here in 2025, some of this is uncertain and things are certainly going to change. But you can see here on the left side of the diagram, we've spent the last several decades really focusing on human health and performance in low Earth orbit aboard the International Space Station. And here in the 2020s, we are starting to refocus on returning astronauts to the moon and using everything that we learned from sending human beings to the moon. And using everything we learned from all the time that we had on the International Space Station, several decades of keeping people alive and healthy and productive for months to years at a time, to really then translate all of this science from the moon to Mars and potentially beyond that in the coming decades. And at the same time, we've seen the rise of commercial spaceflight. So every nation on Earth now is focusing on spaceflight, and basically all of them have space agencies. And along the way, there have been lots of private industrial partners, companies like SpaceX or Boeing or Blue Origin or Arianespace, who works with ESA, the European Space Agency. And so we're seeing space become more and more accessible and more affordable, hopefully allowing for more missions, more space stations as the International Space Station is retired, habitats and bases on the moon, and missions to Mars that might be driven entirely by the private sector. And from a medical perspective, what that means is not only are we challenged with supporting human beings further and further from Earth for longer and longer durations of time in the extremely remote and dangerous environment that is spaceflight, but also for folks who are traveling in low Earth orbit. People like William Shatner, here pictured on a Blue Origin flight, is 92 years old. And so rather than only flying extremely healthy NASA astronauts to the International Space Station, now we need to consider more average people and more complex comorbidities. And so there are a number of novel challenges that we, as a specialty, as a focus area, looking at human health and performance in spaceflight, need to address. We are going to send people on missions to Mars, and those missions will take 3 years, which is longer than any person has spent continuously in space. And so we need to better understand how that physiology changes over time. We want to figure out how our medical systems can be adapted to support people far from Earth, where a signal or a message takes 20 minutes at the speed of light to reach Earth and then 20 minutes back. And so instead of the telehealth model that we have built for life in low Earth orbit, we now need to have more autonomous and Earth-independent medical operations for our astronauts. We need to understand how to support a greater medical risk. People like William Shatner going to space, athletes, celebrities, billionaires, but also more run-of-the-mill scientists, more tourism, just a larger number of people with medical complexities who are now going to be living above our heads. And then along the way, I think particularly relying on our engineering background and the goals of the dual degree, we want to be able to develop technologies and systems and skill sets to help support the future of human spaceflight. I worked at NASA for 4 years in what's called the exploration medical capability. And this was focused on how do we design and develop a medical system to support astronauts on these new mission profiles. And what I quickly found out, along with some of my colleagues who are physicians, is that engineering is a completely different language than medicine. And it might seem obvious on its face, but things like telemetry mean something to an aerospace engineer, and they mean something completely different to a physician. And so, day after day, month after month, we found ourselves kind of talking past each other, trying to accomplish the same goals, but having such fundamental differences in the way that we approach problem spaces that it was often hard to move forward. And so the thought and the impetus for starting this program was to be able to train future innovators, thought leaders, people who understand both engineering, both medicine, human health, performance, and kind of can integrate all of these things and pave the way for how we can better support human beings in space. What career opportunities exist? Well, one of the most common approaches that we've seen over the last several decades would be the flight surgeon, so a clinical space medicine and aerospace medicine training program. These are folks who go to residency or go to fellowship and get specific training in how to manage the clinical conditions around human spaceflight. These folks you can see here pictured. This is Anil Menon here in the middle, I'm pretty sure. He was a SpaceX flight surgeon, now as part of the NASA astronaut corps, which is really exciting. He would work and train and travel with the astronauts and essentially not only be their primary care physician for themselves and their family members, but also kind of their confidant and their colleague. You can imagine astronauts are a little bit like professional athletes. And so they have a team of people around them, which includes the flight surgeon who is dedicated to their health and their needs. And so that is one career opportunity. To be very, very clear, this program is not an aerospace medicine or a space medicine degree. This is more at the fundamental level of understanding human health and understanding aerospace engineering and looking at how those principles can overlap. Our program really aims at laying the foundation for these opportunities in the future. Another option that we see is academics. So we see researchers, people like me, people like some of our faculty members who are trying to solve the complex challenges that surround human beings in spaceflight, developing new therapies or techniques, better ways to support astronauts, and then launch educational programs like this one to help design and train the workforce of the future. And then we see folks who work at commercial companies. And these folks, again, can be flight surgeons, but honestly, many times they work more in medical direction, medical system design, life support, kind of providing the medical and clinical perspective for commercial entities who are designing vehicles and habitats that are rated for human beings. And this is one of the industries that's growing most rapidly. And I think one of the industries that our program really is well suited to help support. Why CU? Well, from the School of Medicine side, there are folks like me and Dr. Jay Lemry, who we'll introduce here in a second, folks who are clinicians who have worked at NASA. We have a strong School of Medicine and a focus from the School of Medicine on rural and remote care. And along with that, our section of wilderness medicine within the Department of Emergency Medicine has several folks who are looking at exactly this problem space about supporting human beings in low Earth orbit and beyond to exploration profiles to the moon and Mars. And so we have, experts and quasi-experts in the field, folks who understand the medicine, who understand the engineering, and want to help integrate these curriculums together. And then I guess in addition, something that's really, really important for a program like this, we have very strong connections with researchers, whether it's MIT or Davis, some of the big players, Texas A&M, some of the big players in human health and spaceflight research and bioastronautics. We also work closely with folks from Space Force, from the Air Force Research Lab, from NASA, and then many of our close colleagues are working in commercial spaceflight in key positions of growth around human health. And so our connections and our network will go a long way for not only the rotations and the experiences that you have, but for your opportunities after graduation from this program. And then, of course, from the aerospace engineering side at the University of Colorado in Boulder, this is one of the strongest programs in the country. It's one of the leaders in bioastronautics specifically, and really sets the tone for what the future of this focus area can look like. We have several faculty, which we'll see here, are focused on human health and performance. We have several astronauts who are on faculty or are alumni faculty or just alumni of the aerospace engineering department. And the Denver metro area supports the largest space economy per capita in the United States. And so there are lots of opportunities to interface and integrate with industry partners in the area. These are some of our core faculty. Here on the far left is Dr. Allison Heyman. I'm here wearing a mock spacesuit, which we'll talk about here in a second. From the School of Medicine, we have Dr. Katya Arkia, who is also at the School of Aerospace Engineering. Ben Easter, one of the founders of this program and one of the flight surgeons at SpaceX, works really closely with us and helps support this program. And then Jay Lemry, who we discussed, is one of the element scientists at NASA, an endowed chair in wilderness and climate medicine, kind of oversees the program as a whole and helps it integrate into all of these other offerings that we have at the University of Colorado. And then not pictured are several other faculty members from the School of Medicine and the Department of Aerospace Engineering, folks that help to fill out your education, provide you with guidance and resources and all those things, and people that I don't want to forget here. So let's talk about the specifics of the program. It is a 5-year program, essentially 4 years of traditional med school and 1 year of an accelerated master's. Each year we take between 1 and 3 students. The current structure, and I'll show you a calendar here in a moment, the current structure is for our students to do 2.5 years of med school, then do 1 year of the accelerated master's, and come back for 1.5 years of med school before graduation. We also strongly encourage students who are interested in any specialty to apply to this program. More generalist specialties are more likely to be applicable to direct clinical care, like family medicine, emergency medicine, internal medicine just makes more sense for the longitudinal healthcare of an astronaut. But we also think that every specialty is going to be necessary to help support human beings on some of these increasingly complex missions. And so if you're OBGYN or you're neurosurgery or orthopedics, there is a role for you as well. Although, we'll have to talk about what that role specifically would look like. If you're a neurosurgeon and you want to do neurosurgery in space, that might be challenging because those capabilities are far beyond what we're currently doing there. But if you want to help understand how the brain changes and how surgical procedures may help do further research and support these astronauts, then I think this is right up your alley. And so during this program, we help you find your way and figure out how this program fits into your career goals. And again, to be 100% clear, this is not an aerospace medicine training program. Those are very specific programs with specific requirements, and we will help you get into those programs. But this is a little bit more at the fundamental scientific level. So this is the calendar of what the 5-year program would look like. This is made by one of our current students, so thank you, Lindy. Essentially, you can see here at the top, and feel free to pause this if you want to look at it. The first year is didactics, and that's traditional medical school curriculum. You sit in the classroom and you learn about organ systems, you do anatomy, you do all the classic medical school things. And then the University of Colorado has switched to longitudinal integrated clerkships, meaning that during your second year, you then go and rotate at different specialties, different clinics. Oftentimes you have 3, 4, 5 different clinics during the same week, and you kind of learn longitudinally what happens to patients as they navigate the healthcare system. And then you have some advanced courses during your quote unquote third year, and that leads you into step one. And step one is a part of your board certification, and all students will take step one before Christmas break or holiday break of their third year. Now, this is where things change for our program. We have our students then leave starting January 1st of their third year and do the accelerated masters. But then during the summer between your traditional semesters is when you take step two. And for those of you who are brushed up, step two is one of the most important parts of your medical school application. And so we try to make sure that you have time blocked out to be as successful as possible on that, because we want you to be the strongest residency applicants possible. After step two, you finish your second semester, and then you're essentially left with one outstanding course to finish your master's. Some people will do that once they return to the medical school curriculum starting January of their fourth year. Other people will try to cram it into one of those 2 semesters that we talked about at Boulder. And we can talk about the pros and cons of that if we get there moving forward. And then during your return to medical school, you start to do the things like advanced clinical rotations. You do away rotations, almost like mini interviews at the different organizations or hospital systems that you want to train at during residency. And from our perspective, we try to get you additional space health opportunities related to engineering and medicine, and help really solidify all of the fundamental features that you've learned. So this is bioastronautics. This is kind of all the different kinds of research that they do. They do mock-ups, VR, simulations. They do centrifugal trainings. They do some of the basic sciences. So lots of opportunities to look at the study and support of life in space. The master's degree is 30 credit hours. And so you get 9 credits that double count. And so the result is that you're left with 21 credits or 7 courses. Several courses are required. And so it leaves a little bit of leeway, but we have essentially kind of carved out the courses that we think are most applicable to your future career, and then give you kind of 2 to 3 electives that you can fill in based on your own specific interests. Additionally, there are 3 tracks that are required for graduation. One is something called graduate projects. And graduate projects is essentially where you work as an engineering team developing and designing some sort of solution. So we had students who built a medical bay that we use in one of our courses, and they had to go through the entire engineering design and construction process. So a lot of times with power tools, cutting things, welding things, screwing things together. Another option is the thesis, and this is one that we're increasingly supportive for our students because it gives you the opportunity to practice doing true research at the interface of engineering and medicine. And then another option is a certificate. And so a certificate means you take 3 to 4 courses in a subspecialty area. And we can talk about, if that's the direction that you want to go, what courses they might be and how those best are suited to support your career goals. And again, this is mostly for your reference. Feel free to pause here and look at all the different types of classes. But in general, the coursework at the University of Colorado Boulder is incredible. Our students are so fortunate to interface and work with incredible faculty and students who are just excited to learn and help pioneer this new field. So let's talk about costs. I'll move through this quickly, but again, feel free to pause. You will be paying for the entire tuition of the University of Colorado School of Medicine. So that should already be factored in if you're looking at this video. In addition, the master's degree costs about $24,000 for the 7 courses that you take. $10,000 for each semester plus $4,000 for the additional course. These prices are subject to change, which is why they're kind of an approximation of costs. You can fill out FAFSA for each semester and get tuition support. But what are the perks of the program? We see a lot of folks who ask, can I just go to med school and then do the master's later? You absolutely can. I think the benefit to the program really comes to mentorship. We have incredible faculty who work with you closely, and you get to discuss your career opportunities with attendings, and we help guide you along this path. Additionally, we try to provide longitudinal training. We have events. We have kind of some threads of teaching you how to do research. We help support you going to a conference, present your research, publish if we can, which all, of course, supports your residency application and supports your future goals. We have a large network of opportunities and people that we work with really closely, giving you rotations and opportunities at some of these locations that you wouldn't otherwise have, and connections for your future goals and career opportunities. Additionally, you get an accelerated master's. So like we talked about, you get several courses that are double counted between the School of Medicine and the School of Aerospace Engineering. And we support you having the strongest residency application possible. So from a program requirements perspective, you have to meet all of the requirements of matriculating to the University of Colorado School of Medicine and the requirements for application to the MS in Aerospace Engineering, with a few exceptions being that you don't have to have these higher level linear algebra or differential equation coursework. We do strongly recommend that students have 2 semesters of higher level undergraduate training in a STEM field, which most applicants to the School of Medicine will have. And then we recommend 2 semesters of calculus-based physics, but these are not hard requirements. At the end of the day, we are looking for students who are going to be self-directed. This is still a new program, and so we are looking for people who are comfortable being a little bit uncomfortable and carving their own path and filling in their own knowledge gaps with additional education and training if need be. So if you are an undergraduate applicant, not currently at the University of Colorado, I want to first guide you to the applicant guide. This is on the website, and essentially what I tell prospective applicants is that we cannot accept you to the dual degree program if you are not accepted at the University of Colorado School of Medicine. So during your application, when you get a secondary application, there will be a checkbox that says you're interested in the MDMS in Medicine and Aerospace Engineering, and then you write an essay, which helps us know you and understand your motivations. I strongly recommend that you take this essay seriously. It looks like just kind of a run-of-the-mill text box on an HTML page, but write it as if it were a professional essay or an essay indicating your statement of interest to a medical school, because this is how we decide who gets interviews. The interview process then is a round robin between different faculty members and current students. We ask you questions about yourself, a little bit like the med school application interview process. And then you have time to ask us clarifying questions and kind of discuss the program as a whole. In general, we like to see students who understand that engineering has a different way of thinking and have demonstrated coursework or additional outside extracurricular work looking at human health in spaceflight or engineering, and can articulate why this program fits well for their passions and their career goals. If you're a current CU School of Medicine applicant, we do accept students who are already part of the School of Medicine. We have an informational session every fall for the MS1s, where I give an hour lecture talking about human health and performance in spaceflight, and then we open the application. You'll see if this is you that we extend multiple essays that you have to answer, and then request that you send us your AMCAS documents and some reference names. We will not reach out to your references without letting you know, but then these students will interview with faculty. Currently, we interview basically every student who applies, but that may be subject to change. And if this is you and you're interested and you don't know where to start, there are student groups around human health in spaceflight. Reach out to me or look them up online. These are great options for people who want to dip their toe and understand what the career opportunities in the problem space look like before hard committing to a 5-year program. But keep in mind that we fill several slots from the undergraduate application pool. And so the number of slots available for current medical school students might be quite small. And if you're another interested party, so if you go to a different medical school, if you are an undergraduate who's years out from applying to medical school but kind of finding this program, if you are a resident or an attending faculty, there are lots of opportunities out there. For med students, there are rotations. There's the NASA clerkship and the UTMB short course. Look those up online. Incredible opportunities for you, and can offer a lot of the same education in a more streamlined version. Obviously, it doesn't give you the same depth of understanding, but a nice way, again, to dip your toe during your last year of medical school. Um, and Many students reach out to me. We don't have a ton of opportunities for students not currently in our program. The first place that I will send you is to some of these uh, organizations, these specialty organizations. So first, reach out to the Massachusetts General Hospital and Harvard Medical School. They have a Center for Space Medicine Research. They have a listserv. Please Google them and join their listserv for those opportunities. There's the Aerospace Medical Association, ASMA, and there's the Student Resident Organization. So the AMSRO, is another opportunity for students and residents to get involved. And then there's the organization OSMED, the Organization for Space Medicine, Engineering, and Design. And again, I'd recommend that you kind of Google these opportunities. I think they have helped me along the way. They're a great opportunity for our students. All of our students are involved in them. And so, a better way to understand the field and understand what you are signing up for and how to improve your application if this is the program that you think is for you. Please check out the website. There's all kinds of additional promotional videos that are much more exciting than this. There are frequently asked questions. That's where you'll find the application, and you'll find our current students. And of course, if you have questions after reviewing all of our website and all of our material, please don't hesitate to reach out. And we hope that this program and this informational session kind of sparks something within you, and that you feel like this is kind of the direction that your career will take, and this is the program for you. So if that's the case, we hope you apply, and thanks for your time.